So let's see.
So I'm going to share it.
If it works. Receiving your content. Your audience will see it in a moment. Get ready. The internet can totally see you now. That means we're live. Welcome everybody. 0 people watching so far. Let me get rid of the opening image so you guys can actually see us. Here we are. It would be cool
actually if we could go simultaneously live on Facebook and YouTube. Can you use 2 different of those?
We could work on that. I think it's possible.
That way the people who are used to seeing us on Facebook would still be able to see
I think if we use your laptop and hook up both streams, we could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's even possible on one. I'm not sure. We have 0 people watching, so
how do I share this to
nobody from our Facebook knows we're
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was thinking we should go.
Wait, there's 3 people. Live chat is enabled, so
okay, I'm gonna
you guys
share
are most
this.
welcome to send us messages. For those of you who have not seen us on Facebook, we have been going live on Facebook for how long now? A good few weeks. 3 weeks?
No.
Yes.
It hasn't been
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't think it's
you have
been
a lot
that
of dog hair on you.
Well, nobody will notice. You don't have to point it out.
Sorry. So today we want to talk about something that is a very troubling on one hand, and on the other hand interesting, and on another hand complex subject. And it has a lot to do about how we perceive reality, because we live in times where it's very difficult, it's increasingly difficult to tell what is truth, what is the reality, and what is manipulation. And it's we're surrounded by fake news, we're surrounded by organizations, people with different agendas, and some of them want to and like to manipulate us.
Mm-hmm.
And once people make up their mind about something, it's very difficult to change their opinion. And it's very difficult to realize that sometimes we're not really seeing the truth. We're seeing what we want to see, what we want to pay attention to, what we already decided about, or what our mind is subconsciously deciding about. So something happens, and it's very difficult to be objective about it, because we base our decisions on many different factors, and based on our previous experiences, we very often make up our mind about something without really looking at facts. And it's very, very difficult to objectively look at all those facts and look at all the facts about a particular occurrence or even people in our lives. So why does this happen, and what can we do to try and stay more objective and not get manipulated?
I'm feeling very rude, but I'm trying to post on Facebook so people know that we're on.
Yes, do that. Absolutely.
Find us on.
You have to promote. Without promotion, there's no audience. It does say here that we have 6 people watching, but I don't know who they are unless they decide to say something in the chat. Meredith is with us. Thank you for finding the live feed on YouTube. Welcome. Glad to have you with us. Hi there. Good subject to talk about. Thank you. I'm sure there's a few other people, but until they say something, we won't know that they're here. Dreamin' TV, which means Łukasz is with us. Dzień dobry, zostałem Jolkę. That is an inside Polish joke. Hi, Łukasz. It's from a Polish film, old Polish movie, I believe. Okay, so we're gonna start talking about the subject for today. And by the way, it's Luke here. We know it's you. I know who I'm talking to. I know my audience. we're gonna start talking about the subject for today, and first subtopic that we want to discuss is called the confirmation bias, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk a little bit about what confirmation bias is and why it happens?
Well, confirmation bias. Oh, we were cheering now?
Yes, our show on Facebook, for those who don't know, is called Wine at 9 because it happens at 9:30 p.m.
Wine at 9:30.
Wine
You
at
always miss
9:30.
that part.
I always miss the 30. So we drink wine and have conversation with you guys.
And as you can see, it's still very cold in this room.
It's not cold at all, but
It is cold. Even you said it was cold when I walked
I'm not
in here.
admitting it.
And you went and got a sweater and a head cover.
I'm not admitting it. Carolina is with us. Welcome.
Oh, hi. So, what is confirmation bias?
Yes.
Confirmation bias is basically the just inherent nature of people to confirm what their bias is about things. It's how things like racism and stereotypes and all sorts of stuff happen that are not necessarily good, because we basically decide what we believe and then we filter all of the information out that contradicts that belief, and we only focus and use the information that really goes along with what we believe to confirm our beliefs.
So basically, in all subjects and in any subject that we already made up our mind about, when new information comes our way, we tend to, and it's not supportive of
Our
the
beliefs.
decision and beliefs that we already formed before, we tend to reject it or not even notice it. You know, there's so many crazy examples for that.
We'll just act like that information that contradicts what our beliefs are, we just say, oh, well, that's just the exception to the rule, instead of it's just another aspect.
Right, and the first field that comes to mind is, of course, politics. Politics is very divisive, especially right now. You know, people are on two different extremes. I feel like there's no middle anymore. And if you are supporting the current administration, there's a lot of information that comes at all of us every day. You tend to filter out the information that is against the administration, and you always rationalize what they do and find reasons why what they do is good for all the Americans.
And just to be fair, we also feel like we've worried, self-reflection, are we doing the same thing?
Yes, when you are on the other side, of course, you tend to not hear things that may explain why what they do could be justified and good and with some higher purpose in mind. You only tend to hear the information that is absolutely
confirming your beliefs.
Yes, confirming your beliefs and confirming that the administration is bad, that Trump is a horrible person. We're not talking about our personal beliefs right now at all, because
we don't want to talk about politics.
If we did, then the show goes south very quickly. A lot of you realize what we think anyway.
But in regards to that, we have gone out of our way to try to watch Fox News and watch other sources of information, not just the people and places we watch, because we don't want... I mean, I do wonder, am I having some psychological mind meld? How can people believe that this is right when I believe it's so wrong? And so you and I will go out of our way to try to watch what people who don't agree with us believe, because I just don't understand, and I want to understand.
We do that because we are simply curious how it looks on the other side and what the other end is seeing, that because it's hard to believe. The whole topic of today is how it's possible that we live in the same reality as humans, and yet we can perceive it in such extremely different ways. It's literally what is happening right now, especially. It's literally as
so
if
polarizing.
You know, we have this notebook here, right?
This blue and black notebook?
Yes.
It's blue and black, right?
Right. And some people will see it yellow and gold.
This is not yellow and gold, it's blue and black.
Right.
But you think it's yellow and gold?
But I don't, but some people could. So it's literally like the famous dress situation, right? Remember the dress, guys? Everybody remembers the dress?
Well, it's kind of like that. That's a mind...
Yeah, it's a good example of a total, you know, disbelief from one side to the other, because some people saw the dress as blue and black and couldn't see it possibly the other way. And other half of humanity saw it as, yellow and gold?
White and gold.
White and gold.
He can't even comprehend. So
I can't because I saw it as blue and black. But other people saw it like it was literally half and half, 50-50 division. And one side could not understand the other. You know, we personally had a crazy experience with that because when Blondie showed me the dress and said it's white and gold.
I saw it happening.
Yeah,
on
you
the
asked me,
internet,
what do you see?
And I was like, wow, people are confused about that. I mean, it's obviously white and gold. And you were like, what are you talking about?
And I was looking at it and trying to figure out where she sees the white and gold.
No, you weren't. You were looking at it and trying to figure out what kind of a joke I was playing on you.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out both. And I figured this must be some sort of a joke because the dress is obviously black and blue, and you can't possibly fathom how someone can see it.
And you were getting irritated.
Differently, yes, because you have to defy reality for yourself.
You thought I was really just screwing with you.
Yes, like it's like basic laws of how the world around you works. You just cannot make yourself see it differently. And
although I did.
You did eventually, but not because you made yourself.
No,
you simply saw it somehow
yeah.
empirically. You had the experience of
and now I absolutely
seeing it both ways, which I'm jealous about because I would like to see it the other way.
I just can't even see it.
But let's apply this to the topic of today, and this is a great example of how once you convince yourself or make a decision based on, I don't know, your long time experience in this world, your first time experience when you come into politics and become interested in, or anything that happens in your life, once you convince yourself that you are a Trump supporter or you are against Trump, that's how it stays. And it's very, very difficult for anybody to make you change your mind.
I just want to digress for just 1 second before we get too much into the topic, but I used to be more conservative leaning. I would say I was a fiscal conservative and social liberal because I felt like social issues like gay rights and women's rights and all of that were absolutely important. I disagreed with most Republicans. So I feel that I kind of like changed when Donald Trump came in. For me, it wasn't a situation, and I know we shouldn't be talking about politics, but just ideologically talking about confirmation bias, my idea of Republicans completely changed after this.
The dress changed for you too, so you're a strange person. You're not like everybody else.
I guess so.
Everybody else doesn't usually change once they decide.
I think though in this situation, a lot of people have changed.
I do see some people changing, but again, we're not going to talk about that because that's not the point of today. Today we're trying to figure out why and how we can possibly see reality, the same reality, you can't deny it, the reality is only one, in such extremely different ways. And why does it happen? So there is something like confirmation bias, which we already talked about, and it is based on your first experience, your so far experience, and the decision you made in your head, and following that, whatever new information comes your way, you tend to reject the parts of that information that are not confirming your beliefs, and it's literally crazy. Remember that show where people were dancing on the stage and they asked the audience to count how many times they jump up during the dance or something, and everybody was concentrated on the dancer because there was 7 or 8 of them and they were jumping at different times in different places, and you were like 21, 22, 23, I think I saw 21. And then the guy comes back on stage that gave that task to the audience and says, who saw the gorilla? Nobody. There was a gorilla walking between the dancers while they were dancing, but people were so concentrated on counting the jumps that literally you couldn't see the gorilla. And it was right there when they replayed the footage. It's just standing there, and I couldn't see it myself. So that confirms that our brain is completely capable of filtering out the information that we are not looking to see at a given moment. And this is very mind-boggling and very crazy when you think about it. But when you apply this to how we perceive reality, it's completely real. We very often don't even realize that we do not have all the facts and all the information available to us to make a really educated decision about a particular situation.
Well, to me, the most interesting thing we watched was about the first impressions. And when we often hear as people that first impressions are lasting, they're the most important, and you kind of think, oh, yeah, first impressions, they're important. But from what we were researching, first impressions are extremely important, so much so that if you make a first impression and let's say somebody thinks you are a jerk, it is very, very, very difficult to ever convince them that you are not a jerk. It's going to take you a lot of work to fix that first impression.
Yes, I want to talk about first impressions a little later because this saying, you never get a second chance to make the first impression is very true, just as you're saying. Let's go to the comments for a second. Carolina says, I missed you. We missed you too. How's the baby Carolina?
Poloneczka.
How's Polka doing?
Polka? I thought we called her Poloneczka.
Meredith wrote, you guys do look cold, and then retracted the message. It's okay to tell us we look cold. I don't see a problem with that.
I'm going to just put this hood back on my head.
Lucas says the question was wrong about that dress. Colors in the picture were black and blue, but in reality the dress might have been white and gold.
This is a very confusing statement. You sound like a politician. That's a very non-committal kind of a statement.
I'm curious why you're saying that the question was wrong, because what simply happened is people saw it in two different ways. So I don't know what the original question was or what question you're referring to, but it was a very, very clear situation to me. Half of us were crazy. Meredith says it's not a fast change, but best way to change one's mind is to spend time with others who see the world different. We are in bubbles, since the bubble is safe place to be. Not easy to be wrong.
I completely agree.
Yes, the most difficult thing for a person is to admit that you were wrong and simply, humble yourself.
But you don't ever have to do that. So that's like a nice quality, that you don't have to admit you're wrong because you're not wrong. Ever. But back to Meredith's...
I sense mischief.
But back to Meredith's statement about spending time with others who see the world differently. I honestly feel like that is why people need to travel more. Do you agree? I feel like the more you see of the world and the more you see of other people, it's a lot more difficult for you to make judgments about that society and decide, put all of those people in a box. Once you've been exposed to more people, traveling helps you be exposed. Meaning, like we grew up in Hemp Hill, Texas, and I showed you how small that town is. Many people in that town, David, actually don't ever leave. I mean, literally, some of them have never been out of Texas and Louisiana. And if you are in that little bubble of society and you never ever leave and you never see people, for instance, in New York City, you have these preconceived notions about people from New York City, that they're rude and pushy and horrible. Oh, yeah. People always say that.
I don't think they're rude.
That's what people say in other southern locations, for instance.
I'm not those people.
So what I'm saying is, when you actually travel to one of those locations, then you're like, oh, well, this wasn't any different from Houston, really. This isn't that much different. You start to see the world differently when you expand your horizons.
So Meredith was very right with what she said. Mm-hmm. Michael says, I'm a colorblind photographer, so I definitely see things differently than you guys. I don't really mean literally seeing things differently, but that's a cool point.
But he said that then Lucas
I agree with Lucas. You probably shoot a lot of black and white and
I shoot in black and white
some
sometimes.
Awesome images.
I put it on auto white balance and shoot in black and white if I want to really focus on the highlights and shadows.
Carolina says true. Yes. She agrees with us. Everything we say is true. Just like that. And then she says it's getting better. We are trying to figure each other out. I'm back to life, back to reality. Okay. You and your daughter are trying to figure each other out?
That's a song, actually.
Or the Democrats and the Republicans.
Do you know that song? Back to life.
Yes.
Back to reality. That's her song right now.
Wukar says question could be understood two ways. All right, so you just added to this confusion, man. What question? I want to know more about this. What question? I still don't know what exactly we're talking about. But I want to mention another part of tonight's main subject, and this is called anchoring effect. And anchoring effect has a, as you guys can tell, we prepared for this. We Googled stuff.
I'm not being rude and Facebooking. I just want to try to get more people here.
Right. So anchoring effect is basically your starting point of view. And this is extremely important in negotiations and making decisions. And I would like to give an example here of an exercise that was done and performed on us and my fellow group of students when I was in college by our psychology teacher, psychology professor. And guys, stay with me for a second. It's not that complicated. We can do it, and I know I can explain. So, our task was to purchase a car, okay? We had a $23,000 maximum budget. That was information given to everybody. We had to come out of the meeting with a purchased car. There was no option of not purchasing the vehicle, all right? From then, we were split into two groups, A and B. Both groups were told that a vehicle was found. We're about to go into the meeting with the owner. Now, Group A comes out, so both groups have the meeting with the owner that is conducted in separate rooms. We don't know what is happening in the other room. And then we come out of those meetings and the teacher asks Group A, how happy were you with the result of negotiations and your purchase? And they said, very happy. Great. Now they ask Group B, how happy were you with the results of your negotiations and the purchase that you made? And they said, we all felt like it could have gone better, so not very happy. Now guess what? The price of the people who were super happy was higher than the price that Group B paid, and they were not so happy. How is that possible? So, as you can already guess, that all depended on how the negotiations went. Group A had very hard time negotiating with the owner. The owner was unwilling to give an inch from his very high entry price. That's why they came out happy, because eventually they purchased the vehicle, they achieved the objective, while Group B started at a completely different point. The owner was very easy to negotiate. He kept going down, and at the end they felt like they could have pushed him more and saved more money. And that's why there was no feeling of satisfaction that something was achieved and there was some goal that they were working towards. It just came too easy. So this is called anchoring effect. And the problem with anchoring effect is that we're often anchoring ourselves at the wrong point, which means we're entering negotiations with wrong expectations that are either too high or too low. Too high or too low. And when we come out of the negotiations, we're just not satisfied with what happened. How to battle the anchoring effect is simply do as much research as you possibly can and look at all the facts objectively. Try to figure out what the actual price, average price that the product you're about to negotiate about is going for. But that's just the sales example.
But when they're going for us for photography, don't go for average price. They should go for above average price.
Yeah. Well,
so that's not always true.
That also depends on at which anchoring point we enter negotiations.
Yes.
Because there's always two sides to negotiations. But this was just a sales example. This applies to everything. This applies to, people looking for a romantic relationship in their life. You explain it to yourself how that could be applied. It applies to politics. Well, everybody has expectations, right?
What were your expectations?
Obviously very high.
Aww. So then you just went with a lower common denominator.
Yes, but it applies to... What? No! Don't set traps for me live. That's not nice.
You said yes.
Silly. Because I just wanted to go to the next point of the discussion. Maybe I'm going too fast. I'm going to take a break.
You're going to do like Charles Gilman says and slow down.
I'm going to slow down. I'm going to take a breath and
this subject gets you very excited.
We do have 8 viewers now, and when I started we had 7.
See, I commented on Facebook and got 1 more viewer.
Oh.
So, why does this subject get you so excited, David?
Because it's very interesting and mind-boggling to me at the same time. I am still trying to figure out what I opened this video with, how it's possible that we do live in the same world and the same
people
reality.
that we love and care for.
There's only one reality. Things don't happen differently. What happened today happened.
Yeah.
And yet
we can see it all different
perceive
ways.
it from completely extremely different ends and have completely different perspective of what actually happened.
It is mind-blowing.
So half of the people will say, you know, firing Comey was an excellent decision and the president is right. And the other half will say, what?
Isn't this a
that
little
was
fishy?
crazy, horrible, and it proves that he is colluding with Russia and so on and so on. I'm just giving examples. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not.
Yeah.
This is
Which
not
side
court.
you're on?
No, not at all.
So you're not on the side.
Of course,
about...
everybody knows. But we're not talking about that.
I feel like we talk about this a lot. You and I both talk about it a lot. Almost
whether
as
we
much...
are being manipulated?
Well, we talk about whether we're being manipulated because it is a thought. I mean, when I see these other people believing something that just is completely against my beliefs with such strong conviction, I think...
fighting for it fiercely.
And I respect this person and I love this person. And how can this person and me feel so differently about this? And it does make me wonder about myself. I'm like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with them? Is there something wrong with me? It would be a miss. We would both be amiss to not question ourselves and go outside of our beliefs and try to investigate why are these other people believing this.
That's exactly why when you showed me the dress, I was waiting for the punchline and just waiting to like the joke to be revealed, thinking this is some sort of a test.
And then we got to the bowling alley
to see what your significant other says when you present them with something completely ridiculous, you know.
And then we got to the bowling alley and you realized that...
half of the people saw it as white and gold and half of the people saw it as blue and black, which opened my eyes to the fact that it actually is a problem and not, you know, just a joke.
But even still, you were kind of like, so you have something wrong with your eyes.
I still think that... the dress question, Łukasz says. We had a photo of a dress with two colors. The image itself presented item in black, blue colors, right. But we know that colors change in different lighting and white balance. So the dress in reality could have been white gold just shot with poor settings. But it wasn't. It was in reality, which was proven later.
It was in reality black and blue shot with poor settings.
Yes, but well...
It was shot within it was shot with a cell phone.
This was the problem. It wasn't poor settings. It was extremely confusing settings because the settings produced a very unique situation that was exactly in the middle of tungsten and daylight white balance. And your brain simply had to decide
what
the moment you saw that image what the colors are. And it could have gone either way. And for most people, once it went one way, it couldn't switch back. For you, somehow it switched back, which I'm still amazed.
And now I can't see it white and gold at all. But I do have the memory of seeing it that way.
Well, don't you wake up one day and go Trump on me.
You know what's... Do you know what was odd about it, though? To me, it wasn't that the dress changed. It was that side color changed. Because when it was white and gold, the side color was very, very, very white.
Yes.
And when it was black and blue, the side color was suddenly very yellow and orange.
Because your mind
decided,
put its own white balance interpretation on it.
And so what did you do, since we don't have a lot of wedding clients watching right now? So what did you decide after
that I spend years wasted in Photoshop trying to perfect those images because you don't even know what people see on the other end.
Exactly.
Not to mention their brain interpretation. They look at those images on different monitors and in different light. You don't even know what they see. You have no idea what they see.
Absolutely.
What looks white and a beautiful dress, for me, I spent hours fixing it and making it perfect. The other person may not even be seeing as white. They might be seeing it as little blue or little yellow and not even pay attention to it. So what's the point?
I still can't get away from it. I still spend way too much time like...
You do.
Like, oh, this is a little magenta. Let me add plus 7 to green. It doesn't matter. But it matters to me.
But it's a lost time. You could have been doing something else during the time. Meredith says... Need good friends you can challenge how you see views. Few good ones that are brutally honest when you say something biased. We all are biased at times. Love my honest friends that hold nothing back.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to give us an honest opinion, then fire away. Seriously, we can take it.
Mm-hmm.
Michael says, when I was in high school in the early 80s, I went to Egypt for 10 days. Looks like a good trip.
Mm-hmm.
It literally exposed me to how differently and sadly much worse people live in other parts of the world.
And he said it really made me realize how well off we are in Canada. Which is very, very true. When I was watching, and we're not going to talk about religion either, but we were watching that thing the other day about religion and how people could say, that religion, God does things because of karma or because you deserve them or God works in mysterious ways. And they were saying, here's this little girl in Africa who hasn't done anything wrong in her entire life and she's starving and living in slums. And how did this little girl deserve that? She didn't deserve that. We just happen to be lucky that we were born in such a wonderful place.
I wasn't born in this wonderful place. I was born in a different wonderful place.
Yeah, exactly. But isn't that interesting, David? Because you were talking the other day about Poland and how if you looked at it now from an adult perspective, it's scary and like there were a lot of dangerous things going on.
What was happening when we were kids? Yes.
But from your childhood, you had a wonderful childhood.
I had a wonderful
and it
childhood.
Didn't matter. None of that mattered.
I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
Because my parents
you kind of noticed it, but it didn't affect your life.
Later I noticed. But my parents put such a filter on that reality. They provided everything that was needed to have a happy childhood, and that's what it was.
Mm-hmm. I think that actually pertains to what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Have you read the same book as I did, David?
Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
I don't think I did read that book. Maybe I just have this life smartness embedded in me.
I totally agree with his next statement.
We are being manipulated. One is not able to make objective decision without knowing all the facts, and we never presented with all of them. Exactly. Mm-hmm. This is totally the point of what we're talking about tonight. And now imagine that you're already biased in your head about any subject, politics, religion, money making, art, you're biased. Then on top of that, you're not presented with all the facts because someone wants you to think only one way and manipulate you. How easy it is to go down the tunnel and not even realize how much you're missing.
Isn't this funny? Because this is a conversation you and I had at the beginning of our relationship, honestly, about politics before Donald Trump ever came along. And I was saying to you that I feel like anybody can believe anything because you could sit there and look up 20 things to prove your point and find perfectly valid citations and facts. And I could look up 20 valid things and citations and facts to prove my point. And in the end, we just all believe what we want to believe.
Absolutely.
Which is really actually very stressful to me. It's a stressful situation.
Carolina says, I'm still surprised we did survive our childhood. There's a scary truth in that. I can testify to that. We did talk the other day about tanks rolling on the streets of small Polish towns during the martial law, and things were definitely very close to the edge, and it was easy to fall off that edge. But somehow we're here, and there's lots of reasons to be happy. So this is all true. Dreaming TV Wukar says, and that's why Bloney is better photographer.
I'm not sure why, but thank you.
And that's why we should be printing all images.
Oh.
On the other hand...
Do you know what we do with our images? We correct them to the best of our ability to what we believe that they should be. We no longer spend hours calibrating our monitors. I don't know if you ever did that, but I really did. I would spend a lot of time...
PC times, yes.
Yeah, I would calibrate my monitor. I had the spider calibrator. I would go send prints off to a lab, get them back and compare them to the monitor and tweak it. And now what do? We edit them to the best of our ability and we put autocorrection on the lab. Because even that part of the printing process They have different ICC printer profiles. We don't know what their paper is going to do to the image, and it's like, we don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. So, referring to that's why we should be printing all images, here's what we always tell our clients, and it's completely true against what we do. We do deliver all the content, but we do not deliver every single image, because I do think that would be overwhelming and it's unnecessary. And part of our job is actually the editing and getting the best out of the coverage that we have recorded. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Yes.
Because if you have 7 photos of the same moment or the same scene, you don't necessarily need to deliver all 7 to actually provide all the content that was recorded
and
to the
actually,
client.
this is part of this psychological weirdness that we were watching today. If you gave a client 7 images and 2 of those images were top notch, they're going to look less amazing than if you only gave them those 2 images.
Yeah.
So honestly, that is part of our job, is to deciding there's 7 pictures here, but only 2 are really great. The rest are kind of mediocre. And I actually read about this too. It was about how, what was that statement? It was that if you present, it was with meeting with clients, if you present a client with 3 mundane facts and 1 amazing fact about yourself, the mundane facts are not going to bring you up to a higher level. They're going to actually drag down the 1 amazing fact. So it's another part of this bias of our brain and how it works.
That's why Blondie is the better photographer.
Oh, because I'm better able to call out my crappy pictures?
No, because you're better able to explain it. One more thing that we want to talk about before we say goodnight to you guys is emotions versus logic. And this is another step in... this is another part of the problem that we're talking about tonight. That once we have made a decision about someone or something or an artful choice or a person in our lives, it's very hard for us to apply logic to the next thing that happens in the timeline related to that person, subject, or occurrence. Because this is exactly where we're coming back to the first impression problem. You never get a second chance to make the first impression. Once someone was a jerk to you in your initial meeting, and let's say this is what we were watching just earlier in preparation for this, and let's say next day they bring you coffee at the office just trying to be nice
because
to you.
Because they realized they were a jerk.
Because they realized they made a mistake and it was wrong and they want to make up for it. You're not going to see it, or you're not likely to see it as a nice gesture from them. You're just trying, you were more
look at
likely.
From the glasses of, this is a jerk, and they're trying to manipulate
this guy is a jerk, and is trying to manipulate me into something now. I don't like him. Mm-hmm. So by bringing you that coffee, they may actually dig themselves into a deeper hole instead of fix what was happened. But that's just kind of an extreme example that not everybody has to agree with. But especially when it comes to politics. We keep coming back to politics because politics is the easiest example because it's so divisive. Your emotions will always play a role. You decide that you don't like someone. You decide that they're a bad person. They have evil intentions. They're bad for America. Next time you see them speak, your mind is subconsciously picking the worst parts of that speech and putting a filter on it and telling you, look, that's a confirmation that they're an asshole. And you're not even hearing, even if they
just made
do
this
have...
PG-13.
I don't care. This is important.
Meredith asks if there's an unbiased news station, and I'm going to find this link, Meredith, and share with you, and I'll post it in the comments that I found, and it actually is a graph, and it shows different news channels, and if they're politically conservative-leaning or liberal-leaning, or if they're in the middle and they have no bias.
Yeah.
Which I found very helpful and interesting.
Wukar says try BBS Europe and Reuters.
And
NPR?
He said
NPR?
I don't know. Some people say that's bias. I think we just have to look at that list because I'm biased. So, he also said it's an issue for an uneducated client who thinks quantity equals value. So I'm just going to digress to that, even though it doesn't pertain to this. But what we tell those clients that we can tell they want quantity, we tell them, we give you every single picture. We only edit out the hand in front of the face or the flash didn't go off. We only edit out something that's complete trash.
Or the shrimp sticking out of the corner of your mouth.
Yes. Very like Beyonce photos, those bad angles. We tell them, we give them every single picture and we only delete out the true trash. That way they believe there's no limitations to the photos that they're receiving from us. So, go on. I just wanted to go to his question there.
Oh, that was my last point for tonight. Emotions versus logic. So I want to quickly talk about the example where people were... I'm going to switch to our second camera angle real fast.
You haven't done that all night.
Yeah, I know, but we have a second camera. We're so well prepared and I'm not even using it. So this is an example where there was another group of students in another experiment. And they again, people were split into group A and group B. Both groups were presented with a plump chicken and a lean chicken, okay? And the only thing they were told together was that the plump chicken, which you can see on Blondie right now, was the natural one. And the lean chicken was the genetically modified one, okay? That's what they were told together. And then they were split into two groups, go to different rooms again. Group A was told that the plump chicken was not very good tasting, but it was healthier to eat. While Group B was told that the lean chicken was healthier to eat, but it wasn't very well tasting. The plump chicken was better tasting. So guess what both groups picked? The plump chicken. Why? Okay, why? Because the first bit of information they heard was that it was natural. It wasn't genetically modified. So now here's the most interesting part. What the groups explained why they picked the plump chicken. Group A said because healthy was more important than taste. And Group B said exactly the opposite thing, that taste was more important than healthy. But both of them were basing their choice on the first information that the plump chicken was natural.
I think you used bad pictures for this. I think you should have used the exact same chicken looking thing, because that chicken underneath me
does look better. I know.
It does look more delicious.
But that was the point.
But wasn't the point really they actually ate the same chicken?
They didn't get to eat anything.
But they actually saw the best.
It was just a choice.
What? They didn't even eat it, and they already decided?
No, it was just a choice. They were just talking about it.
Well, gosh, I would pick this chicken too.
Well, the point of the exercise was that they based their decisions on the information that the plump chicken was natural. Mm-hmm. So the logic was defied here, because logically human beings should pick what's healthier for them, right?
Do you know what this makes me think? That our next topic should be about, does it make sense to eat organic anymore?
Is it broad enough?
For
a 30-minute live show?
We shouldn't be on here for 30 minutes. People are going to get bored anyway.
Okay, you guys are getting bored.
Oh, one of the cameras has crappy audio.
And we are almost at 45.
Which camera has crappy audio? Is this what we talked about earlier?
Oh, that's weird. I don't think it's crappy. I think it's just not as loud.
So tell us, Michael, which camera has crappier audio?
It means this one. He means this one has crappy audio.
But you said this one was louder.
No, this one is quieter.
Oh.
I actually think this one has better quality, but it's quieter.
Can you turn the audio up for this one?
And this one is simply louder.
So you should just turn this one down.
So next time I turn this one down.
Yes, this is a psychological trick.
And this way we run a full circle.
Yes, so you should just...
Because we're going to distort your perception of reality.
Yes. You should just turn this one down.
By manipulating you into thinking our audio is just as good.
Turn this one down and make the other one louder, and
I'm going to skew the facts completely on our viewers. That's what we're going to do.
They're not bored? Aww.
Wukash says,
that's nice
not
of you.
bored.
Thank
the secondary
you so much.
camera had buzzing sounds.
Which secondary camera? I can't tell which one.
I think this one that we switched to later.
So tell us
this
which one has. This one has buzzing.
This one has buzzing sounds. Move your phone away from the microphone.
Well, what
That's
about this
why.
iPad?
Yeah, it's all distorting the reality.
But why? This is a corded microphone. It's not Wi-Fi.
I don't know.
Well, maybe we should just put it closer to us.
Does it sound better now when it's closer to us? Hello?
Well, let's see the comments.
Okay, go back to the good sound. Second cam was picking up some interference. True, not bored. Wow, people are not bored. I'm amazed because this was 45 minutes. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
You have no idea how much this means to us.
Thank you for spending this time with us.
I'm glad this subject was interesting to you. I hope it inspires you to look at the reality more objectively and make love and not war. Because I'm scared, honestly.
And drink wine.
Part of why we're talking about this today is I'm scared. I'm scared about how extremely divided the world and the reality is right now. And very often I find myself thinking that it's very hard to come to a, common denominator right now.
How many times a day do you and I mean, we say it a lot. We just look at each other and say, how can this person believe that? I don't feel that we're hateful, and we don't sit there and say nasty things.
We're not hateful because we do try to see the other side's point.
Well, we don't sit there and say, this person is a horrible person because they believe that. We constantly are saying, I don't understand how this person can see that. I know this person is a good person. I know this person is a nice person, so how can this nice person believe something so differently than me? And we're constantly trying to figure out what's going on here. And I'm always self-questioning, like, am I the one who has some kind of a crazy... It's like in some freaking sci-fi movie. Am I the one that's seeing things wrong?
I think it's good to question the reality and question yourself. That is definitely helpful in any situation in life. Don't take things too quickly and decide what they are. Always try to get to the bottom of things and try to look at all the facts and all the information, even the information that may not be available to you at the time.
Like, go out of your way to seek that information.
Yes, exactly.
Well, this is way kind of still on topic, but kind of off topic. That book I was telling you about, Trust Me, I'm Lying, Confessions of a Media Manipulator. And he basically talked about how he was his job was to give information to blogs and online entities that would spread it like wildfire and taint people's perception of a product, or, he was being paid by marketing companies like American Apparel, purposely wanted negative information about them out there because who talks about the positive information?
Crazy.
It doesn't happen that much.
Negative information is simply more publicity, and that was their final goal.
And so they actually hired people to spread information about them that wasn't true so that they could get more publicity. Just to get more publicity
and get people talking about them.
Yeah. That was another scary book.
Absolutely scary and crazy thought.
Ryan Holiday, if you're interested.
Carolina says, can't drink wine. Polechka will get drunk. She's way too young for this. Come on, dude.
Okay, we'll drink for you.
She's Polish. She can handle this.
She can't handle that, David.
Meredith says, it's scary stories I can tell you guys will make your head spin. Well, we're ending the live now and we're going to message you. So I can't wait to hear.
And
really.
Lucas said beer is greater than wine.
No, I think he said you get from beer to wine.
I don't think that's... unless it's a Polish thing, it means beer is greater than wine.
Look how extremely differently we interpreted the same message.
You think it says...
Which again proves the point of tonight's discussion.
You go from beer to then wine? That's what you think? Look, Subaru August!
Just joined and we'll watch it later. Okay, well, we hope you enjoyed the subject because it was very involved.
So, David, are we going to do these on Facebook from now on, or are we going to do them on YouTube?
I kind of like YouTube. I like this format better. We can see the comments.
What if we do alternating? locations.
I'm gonna vote for YouTube from now on.
Really?
Because we have all our people who
Watch
have been
the
watching the
channel.
vlog for a while, and this is
The
very
only
cool.
benefit of Facebook is that it's notified to all the people who are fans of our page immediately, and people are constantly looking at Facebook. They're not constantly looking at YouTube.
We'll talk about it a little more, and we'll
Yeah.
get back to you guys on this. Right now, it's been 50 minutes, and my laptop is dying.
But do you think Subaru August is a Facebook fan of ours?
I don't
You have
know.
to fan us on Facebook also, and we post our topics every
Lucas
day.
says nope. Nope to what?
He said, I was right, is what he meant.
Oh,
He
okay.
was saying, nope, David, you're wrong.
Okay.
That's my perception.
He says beer is my thing over wine.
See?
He does say you're
I
right.
was-
Oh! I've been silenced. This is a sign. that
My
it's-
perception is reality.
This and the dying laptop are two signs that it's time to end.
David's about to pull the plug.
I never bring the
Oh, no.
power cord here because we never went 50 minutes yet.
So Lucas says YouTube is better, and Subaru August said he likes Facebook, but he travels to work from 9 to 10. Wow, you work really late.
Looks like you work night shifts, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Maybe
thank
we
you.
should go online at midnight then.
You know why he's able? God, oh my God, we
What?
have to end this. It's 10:20 right now.
We've been online 50 minutes.
Okay, well we have to go because I feel bad like for taking you this whole night. But
Thank you
for
guys so
watching.
much for surviving this. We'll be back tomorrow, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, we'll decide. Carolina says YouTube too, so maybe we'll count the votes.
That's funny that Subaru August says Facebook, and I feel like he is mostly on YouTube. So
10 a.m. to 6 a.m. Yes, please explain your call for Facebook if basically our all contact with you so far was on YouTube. Meredith says, oh no, thanks.
oh no, we're on
Oh,
here.
no.
We're taking her night away, so we better go.
Good night, everybody.
night.
Thank you so much again. We will see you tomorrow, here or there, and we will definitely post about
Are we gonna
Where
see
it's
them
happening.
tomorrow?
why wouldn't we?
Because you got Metallica
We're not.
tickets.
Tomorrow we're going to Metallica concert. We're not gonna be here. Saturday it is then.
Okay.
We're coming back on Saturday, guys. Good night.
Bye. Good night.